And clear of the closing doors, please.
Welcome to The Next Stop Is with me, Jane August. This is my podcast where I'm talking to cool New Yorkers. And I believe life is about having fun, and my next guest truly embodies that idea. Michelle Joni is a singer, songwriter, visual and performance artist, actress, entrepreneur, mother, and probably a bunch of other things that we're going to find out. For me and my friends, we first met her through Glinda the Good Bus, which is this fabulous celebration bus that she drives around the city, and you can rent it for your party. Welcome, Michelle Joni.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So, what's your story? Like, how did you get to New York? How did you make this your life?
Wow.
Loaded question.
It was a lot of lifetimes we lived. I grew up right outside New York, and I was interning at magazines. I don't know if that's the whole story, but...
You've created a lot of different projects.
I'm a serial fun-trepreneur. Yes.
That's an incredible title.
Yeah, I love to act on the fun, whimsical ideas that come through. I feel like that's the point, and that's been some of the most juicy things I've done.
I feel like your big one is Michelle Joni's Ministry of Magic, right?
Sure, that's a big one.
That's a big one. What is it? What's the mantra behind it?
So the kind of magic that I work in is this kind of magic that comes from the outside in, and I represent it with dots around the magic, using, we can change our outfit, change the world. We can create a vibe, like a physical vibe, and others can catch on to that. And it's like we want to fall into synchronicity or rise into synchronicity with each other so that we can meet more people that we're supposed to meet. And there's like a magnetism about how you present yourself. And so I deal with a lot of the magic that's like in the material world of the passage of things and gifting and how we connect with each other through the magic that just like emanates, and the world will rise to the occasion you're dressed for. And everybody's invited to participate is the idea. This Ministry of Magic takes a lot of forms. Like there's Pineapple Day coming, and there's Glinda the Good Bus. Like however you find me or come into the world, it's like of what I'm doing, or however you have over the past 10 years or more that I've been acting on these creative impulses and ideas. It's a kind of it's a building momentum of magic, I guess, that's still hatching.
Has this always been something that you've been like following and preaching, or was there like a moment in your life that you're like, oh, this is the way that I'm gonna live my life?
Some people have told me it's like, oh my God, you were born free. And so I'm just like, wow, like, was I born free? Because I was born into a Beatles vortex of my family running a Beatles festival and, growing up in the music of the Beatles and the fandom, and really feeling like this, like psychedelic, anything's possible way of growing up and seeing the world. Like it's not just what is happening there. I see full potential, full blown, like I see the most potential in every scene. You've always been
playing and doing stuff.
Yeah,
like
it's taken different levels, and then there's the spiritual deepening. Maybe 10 or so years ago, and it's an evolution and an unfolding of awareness and how I take my projects. But I've always been like project leader, like clever, a little like songwriter, parody.
Always been doing things.
I've always been doing things.
And so what is the magic era?
Well, the magic era is here if we want it to be. It's the idea that we're living this like parallel kind of existence to an era of magic that is tapped in more ritualistically, that businesses and consumers are more like of a community. Oh, wait. What is this here? I have references. Okay.
References.
Welcome to the magic era. Yeah, it's an era where dancing in the streets is an everyday normal activity. Like I just see the streets as what we could do, the things that we're doing at festivals and bring them home on an everyday basis. I see people with so much effort into like going away for the weekend, and don't get me wrong, it is a magical experience to be surrounded in that energy. But my like ooh, like, let's bring that here. Like, I don't want to travel that far and have to pack. I just want to get out on my bus and go into the streets, and we could dance. And I've had some of the best dance parties ever in the streets, and the more people are invited. And it's just like creating invitations for other people to be invited to what you're doing, and like bringing it to the streets, whether it's dancing or red carpets or, you know, giving each other massages in like a fun way with people. It's like we have the opportunity. The magic era is something we could do now. It's like not something that is like we have to work and prepare. Like we are ready now with the resources we have, the real estate of our apartments and the sturdy environments we live in that aren't tents that are going to be just up for a weekend. Like we can create. We have the LEDs that we can order on the internet, and I only got to the first one. You know, it's like it's a royal era. It's coming into our ancient mythology meets sacred future, and we get to really. It's like the world has been through enough. Like we don't need wars. Like we really don't. Like it's just people need to readjust people's brains a bit with, you know.
You just need a party.
We just need a party. They're going to skip world peace. We're going straight to world party.
I agree.
Right?
World
like,
party.
Because what is peace anyway? It's like, oh, like, alhamdulillah. Like, no, you know, we can't just meditate our way. Like, it's partying. It's interacting with people. It's having fun. It's expressing ourselves. It's becoming the different tendrils of your philosophies and mythologies and, you know, like having fun with that, like starting at a baseline, like I'm a human being and I'm magical and I can make anything happen and I just have to stay in my yes, in my curiosity, and that, you know, helping to create a world that is ready for that. Because right now it's kind of like, you know, 24-hour culture is part of this. It's like having the idea that things don't just close. Like there's not going to be a time where you can no longer get food in your neighborhood, that like at least one place that there's more day life in the night and more nightlife in the day, and that it's a little like just people need to break out of the boxes and sign up for this.
Yeah, make everything open 24 hours again.
Yeah, 24-hour culture. Like really, not every place has to be 24 hours, 24/7. Some places definitely should be, and more places I hope will be. You will be. Places can be open 2 days a week overnight, or maybe they extend their hours until 3 a.m. instead of closing at 7 p.m. Some places can flip their hours. I want to go to the spa when I get off of work at 2 a.m., and there's very little places to do that. I want a vibe that doesn't have to, you know, I don't have to pay $40 to go to at 7 in the morning. Like, I think that's where I have a bus. But
you have the 24-hour party.
I do have the 24-hour party. That's the thing. It's like I just need to do the 24-hour party. Ideally, Glinda would be running 24/7 with different groups of people, different activations, different locations, and then it's kind of mapped out and you can follow her. But she keeps going. And if she's not at like party mode is also work mode. Like work is a party. It's like a vibe, but a productive vibe. Productive vibes.
Whenever I'm at work and people are like, oh, it's going to suck, I'm like, it's only going to suck if you're going to make it suck. Like, if you're not bringing the good vibes, that's why it's going to be a bummer.
Right. You got to have good vibes. Like, let's dance. Let's, like, make it fun. I want to make work a party. And I kind of do. But I'm always attaining to be better at, like, blending the work and the party. And, you know, when I go out, like, really being intentional, like, okay, we met. Let's follow up this week. Let's pick a day. Let's do the thing. Like, I don't want to be. I just feel like we need to act. Like, I have technology projects that will help us act on these things, because we meet so many people, and it's like, how do we activate the real connections that we're making with people, and so they don't fizzle out. Or that the potential of the relationship of meeting one person, like two minds meeting, or a group of people meeting, that energy is sustained past the point that you have just had it. Like, you know, it's not as someone. I mean, for me, I meet people all the time, and I just want, like, what I'm building is honing the perfect experience for my personal ease and flow and party optimization and access to, resources at different times of day and making things fun and, getting cutting out a lot of the riffraff without having to actually cut out the riffraff because you're just holding the vibration.
So you're mentioning Glinda. I think we should go into that.
Yeah, I know. Go on.
So you've had this bus for the past 5 years or so, right? You call her Glinda the Good Bus. Tell us a bit about her. Like, what was the origin of this project?
Origin of this project was, oh my God, I was going to die if I didn't get a bus. I was like, I must have a bus. And then I needed a bus for 2 years, and some friends had buses, and it's like, oh my God, my friend's doing this show and I just need to have my own bus. So there's everything came back to my life will just not work without a bus. I need to go places. I need to carry things. I need to host things. I need to host dance parties in this. I'm already hosting dance events in the public spaces. I'm so electrified by public space. And I've always taken up public space and made a big deal about let's activate public space. And so that's what I needed. I needed the right vehicle to show up in the public spaces and create party zones, to create fashionable photo shoot moments in everyday life and make people feel magic. Make people feel who are not even part of it, feel something and react to you. And then you get that cycle of oh, cool, people are feeling this vibe. They're I could feel who's interested in what I'm doing, who's, not ready. Some people don't even have blinders up. They don't even see Glinda. But Glinda is an amazing, she does a lot of the work for me in terms of giving that experience of joy and awe and wonder in the middle of someone's day. I live for that. It never gets old. It never gets old to drive through a Glinda and people are and all the, the way people react and feel it. It does get old in the sense that I want people to have a really strong sense of recognition of what magic culture and the magic era and what we're freaking doing. So I'm glad that we're doing this podcast. I feel there's, just culling a lot of the, just all the different ways to be involved on glindathegoodbus.com to we're working on that earlier today and moving from Glinda is a party bus and people book Glinda all the time. They find out word of mouth on the street, through Instagram. But I'm in the process of really turning on the knobs so people know how to play in what I'm doing. It's a little less lazy.
Yeah, because you're also using Glinda to cultivate community, right?
Yeah.
How are you doing that?
Cultivating community by being available, by being a safe space to hang out, to being a liminal space, rolling up to different parties to support friends when I can, and other producers. Glinda is the community is all of New York City. To me, everybody's in the community. I don't have a customer. I don't have a customer profile. I'm here for everyone, and anyone who's ready to play. And so people get themselves into the Glinda vortex. People are curious on whatever level, or maybe they come over to say hi, maybe they get a sticker, maybe they find out more, maybe they follow along. Next steps is really helping people to find more of their community through Glinda, through events that we're doing, through partnerships with businesses, restaurants, stores, through anyone in the city, so that a kind of lively, fun, new age bunch of people can vibe out in the magic era. Honestly, there's a lot of events coming up that are more on the private side, and there's also a lot of events that are coming up. I want to hit the event pace where it's a 24-hour party. You know what I mean? For me, I'm I can't just tell you about one event. You just have to find me. Literally, if I'm there and I'm hosting, it's a party. And my playa name is Surprise. So I did a surprise performance last night. I just rolled up and there was an event happening, and it's a lot of it is a surprise. And so you have to get yourself into synchronicity to get there, and then be confident, ready enough to be ooh, I'm going to go up to this bus and poke my head in and see if I can come on. It's Glinda kind of filters herself. Sometimes people are ready. Sometimes people show up and they're ready to do it. Sometimes we have a private ride and you can't do it. But I want to have just more like open time where I'm just meeting people and we're going to be learning about letter time, learning about pineapple theory, learning about the magic era, turning Glinda the Good Bus into an educational vehicle for understanding how to activate your magical existence.
Incredible.
There's infinite amounts of things. And for me, I'm like trying to hone it all to make sense to everyone, but that's hard to do. So we do our best.
I feel like right now a lot of people are so like closed off to like curiosity and having the confidence to like approach things like that. Do you have advice for people on how to kind of like unleash that and to like be willing and ready to like step up and embrace that curiosity?
So for me, it started two of my foundational, pivotal spiritual awakenings were wearing wigs and also skipping. And these are kind of baby steps that are actually very bold, but can be foundational. Like if you're not a person who wears wigs, it might seem like a really wild idea to wear a wig out into the world that's not your hair. But this journey of wearing a wig can help you just have a new perspective, different perspectives on life and what the vibe is like with a little green bob for a day. And so that'll tune your frequency up to, be ready for Glinda. You can also try skipping. Skipping is a visceral form of like joy in your body, and people will look at you and be like, they'll feel that joy too. I remember like even me in my outrageous self that I am, like when I first started taking a skip on the street, my heart would pound because I felt silly. I felt weird. I felt like people are going to look at me. I felt like it wasn't cool. But then I started, doing a few skips at a time, and I'm listening to music, and I'd walk, and then I'd skip like 8 counts, and then it just became a game. And then people would look, but I actually was like, oh, like they seem actually like they're vibing. And then you end up in a state of like, then you get used to that kind of reality. Like, oh, I can skip. So my skipping era was actually every week I was in a new wig. So then it just broke through, and now anything's possible. But yeah, off the top of my head, those are 2 good things.
So like start small.
Start small.
Okay.
Start small. It could be handing out sparkles to strangers on the street, like on the train. Like, hey, like, you could be a 70-year-old man and you pull out a little sparkle and put it on someone's face. Like, here, this is for you. Like if a gemstone or a little dinosaur statue, gifting. Like have something in your purse that you could hand to somebody unexpectedly. And yeah, just feel like putting out things, ideas, visuals, vibes that will come back to you viscerally in some way. Maybe not like immediate. I mean, usually they're immediate. I'm very I want immediate gratification. So most of these things that I'm doing is like instant gratification, but then it builds and like there's a bigger wave of how it returns.
So some of your other projects and movements, preschool mastermind. What was that one?
The Star Child. The preschool mastermind. I wanted to use my half a degree in early childhood education. There's so many things we learned in preschool that are so relevant now. And so I created a curriculum that explored different, facets of what we learned in preschool and how it applies now and how we can kind of relearn the basics and tune into the basics in order to develop our sense of play, our connection with our inner child that might be lost or not tapped into. And how do we tap into like our inner child? That like we literally all were children. We were all the ages before us. The imprints of those years are still with us, and how do we tap into that? But also turning it on as an adult, that like adult play is actually even more fun because
you don't need permission,
right? And we know more how to play now because we're adults. And yeah, I'm here to here's your permission skip. Like let's go. Like you have permission to have fun in the moment. But having fun as an adult, like when you're kids, you might play pretend, right? Like I'm going to pretend this is my baby, rocking it back and forth. And that sense of imagination and play, tapping into that as an adult is a little more complicated because of social expectations. It's just not something people normally do. You like, here's reality. And then it becomes like an improv moment or like a scene. I'm really into scenes as like an item of our future, like how we, play, like what's expected of you. Like you're going to want to have at least like, 6 or 7 scenes a day, right? Like a scene would be permission. You're in the studio and suddenly you start to sing and suddenly you just will bring this conversation to another generation by making a gestation for whatever. Like I'm just gonna burst out in song. Like bursting out in song is cool, or like bursting out in dance is a thing you should do. It's like TikTok, choreographies, but what if the choreography is just happening? So like aspiring to do scenes is like part of, I don't know, magic era stuff. Like, or that you and you're like having a photo shoot, for example. Like a lot of people are very timid about when they take a picture to like, I want to take a picture here, but like you're seeing like, okay, and go. And then your photographer's running around and getting all the angles and you're posing and you're going up and down and you're giving it to them and scene. And then you can go back to your normal like activity. You don't always have to be in scene mode.
My friends and I are like that, especially when people are like, oh, can you take a photo for us? We're like, okay, we're making this a moment for you.
Oh, yes, exactly.
And people are very surprised. We're like, okay, we're getting the angles and I need you to do that. You need that.
It's such a great connection activity for people. And I love doing that. People ask me to take pictures. Like, I'll just like take pictures. Like, did you get a picture of your outfit tonight? Like, did you document this? And sharing the documentation, sharing what we, like our vibe every day is something I'm trying to get, like that daily, selfie in the morning, afternoon. Like I'm not on top of it, but in theory I am, because that, I think like the energy of like, the way that your, look and outfit changes on a weekly or beyond basis is.
I don't know anyone who doesn't like seeing someone's fun outfit on Instagram. Right. I feel like I always get so much joy when I see other people post their fun outfits. And then it's like, okay, then I can post my fun outfit.
Right. Yeah.
And like normalizes it.
Normalize the fun outfits.
So then you also have alphabetics.
I do have alphabetics.
What is that?
Alphabetics is something I discovered. It was after Preschool Mastermind, and I was like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't even think of it when I was doing Preschool Mastermind that we're totally ignoring the ABCs. We just learned the ABCs in preschool, and now we use the letters every day, and they run our lives. But actually, wait, did we ever learn anything about the letters since then? And really, I just started asking people what their power letter was on the dance floor to give out sparkly letter stickers. And it turns out everybody knew what their power letter was almost immediately, but nobody had ever been asked it before. And I was like, that's weird.
What's a power letter?
What is your power letter?
I don't know what my power letter is.
What do you think?
I really don't know.
What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Probably J, because my name starts with J.
There you go. I mean, you say the J in Jane. It makes sense.
Okay.
And so, don't fight it, because it's just like, okay, we're taking frequencies and vibrations that exist, right? The letters, and they're very useful letters. And like, you're actually tapped into the J. Every time you say your name, J comes out of your mouth. Yes, you might know something more about the J, or like you're tapped into the J differently than other people.
Yeah,
because
all the people who hate J names. Have you heard about that? How people are like, oh, I dated a J name.
Oh, yeah. J's get a bad rap. Yeah. I mean, Jared was really a nice college boyfriend, but, Jason was too. I left my J boys in college. But that's also a thing of like letters getting a bad rap. I have a music video song about this. Like letters, literally, words have bad reputations and vibrate and meanings. Like people are like, oh, I don't like that word. But like, how do we remake this? Or this word is offensive to an entire segment of the population. Well, how do we make it so that it's not? Like, let's call in different energies about it. So now that I know you're a J, that's awesome. I'm a rising J. Okay. That's my rising letter.
So do we have...
My power letter is S, and S is my outer letter. Is J your inner or outer letter? What do you think?
I don't even know what that means.
We don't have to go to the next step in this,
okay.
but we could,
Okay, so what's the difference between like the outer and the inner letters?
It's just what you feel kind of about it. Like for me, S is like I'm shining, sparkly, skipping, sexy, infinite multiplier. S, like I'm just an S. But then like M is kind of like like Michelle, magic. It's kind of like a
I think
inside.
outer
J.
Yeah.
J is a very outer letter. It's a very like jumpy, like an inner J is more rare. What do you have an inner letter coming up?
I'm not feeling one yet.
Okay.
I'll think on that.
Yeah, just let it come to you.
We have outer
from the
letters,
inside.
inner letters. So is it just like kind of being in touch with the letter and the words that come from it, or?
Yeah, so once you know your inner letter and then your outer letter, that makes your pronoun. And we have our pronouns to help us describe our gender. Our pronouns are helping us to describe our splendor. Ooh. So I'm an MS. So Ms. Music, Mass Enchantment, Messages, Massage, Musing, Ms. Joni. Like, I just use the Ms. And actually, like, a lot of my people who have invested and my boyfriend, partner, current, like, everyone's got an MS in their name. Like, this name starts with an M and the last name is an S, or the first few letters, like, the first two consonants are M and S. Like, it just follows me everywhere. So I'm able to tune to like a whole letter. We're able to tune to a letter frequency. The letter of the day today is actually S. This is my power letter day. Happy S. Happy day.
So every day has like a letter of the day?
Every day is letter of the day.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have it planned in advance, or you just wake up in the morning and you're like, this is the letter of the day?
It started January 1st, 2020 with A, and then it's just been cycling around ever since.
Okay.
So we kind of been on a new, like, magic era kind of kicked off then in like different ways. But the cool thing about the letter days is like sometimes, if we can sync our past too, you can still go back and see like, oh shit, like my birthday that year was right on my power letter, like that first year. Or, that W day, I remember we went on vacation to Wichita. You could just go back and find synchronicities. And it's about storytelling. It's about finding, like syncing with other people on the day. You can activate your magic circle by asking everybody their power letter. You can get into inner, like, is that your inner or your outer letter? Or you can just leave it a power letter. And then maybe you like have, six friends and you find that your letters all together spell couch. And then you you find a couch. You're like, let's go sit on the couch. I don't know. Like, you could just let it kind of
like guide you.
And you don't have to. It just opportunities to see things that you wouldn't have seen or get creative.
And ways to make play out of it.
Make play, yeah. Like, and also reasons to kind of do things. Sometimes, like, when am I going to ever go to the spa? Oh, you know what? Day S, I'm going to go to the spa. Sometimes we just need, like, a more real excuse, like, more reasons. I always need, like, multiple reasons to, like, want to really put myself, like, to do something.
So I'm going to take it back to something you mentioned earlier, which was the Fest for Beatles Fans.
Okay.
What you said is what you grew up in.
Yeah.
You're the business development manager of the Fest for Beatles Fans, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What is it for the people who don't know?
It's a Beatles convention festival that's been taking place at hotels around the country since 1974. My dad started it with John Lennon's blessing, and it's been rocking ever since. Anywhere from 2 to like 7 festivals a year. Our next one's coming up in Chicago in August 9th, 10th, and 11th. It'll be like our 35th year at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare. And it's like a Beatles extravaganza with different people who, like, special guests and musical stars and authors and podcasters in the Beatles world. And it's a celebration of the music and the message and the fans. Some people have been coming back for 50 years. That's just like baseline of my life.
So what's your favorite part of the Beatles Fest?
My favorite part of Beatle Fest is I love the community that's been able to cultivate through the years and that feeling of going back and seeing everyone. But also for me my favorite part is this part that hasn't happened yet. My vision for how, the Beatles lore and community and magic and music continues on in the different ways that I've been activating in the magic era, like that it plugs in and there's more Beatles magic going on. Like there's hints and clues in those songs, and you can ask all these experts and nerds who come and know everything, and I've seeped up a lot of information. It's just like I feel like part of my role is to infuse it somehow, infuse it in a way that will tie together some more clues and lore and like action. Like the Beatles started a revolution. I'm like, let's keep going. Let me finish it. Let's get there. Let's get there now.
What was it like growing up with that?
I don't know what it's like to not grow up with that.
Kid, how many Beatle festivals were you going to? Was it just one a year at the time, or?
No, my before I was born, my parents like traveled all over the country they were doing like up to 7. I think the year that I was conceived and born, they did like 7 shows or something crazy.
Wow.
That was like the most.
Do you know how many you've been to? Have you been
Almost
keeping
every
track?
single one since I'm born, which used to be 3 or 4, more like 3 or 4 a year. And now it's more like 2. Ideally, there'd be like more every weekend. Like like I want to create the experience that then can unfurl in different cities all the time without the whole rigmarole.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is really special what's been created for 50 years with like, the original fans. But we're moving into the next generation. It's the next 50 years now. We weren't there when it all happened. I feel like I was there in the 60s because of how many times and perspectives I've heard this story. So I guess there's part of me that feels like I lived it and I know what happened and I was there and I've lived the anniversaries. I've done marketing campaigns around album drops and events around songs that were released on the anniversaries, and it's kind of like I'm synced to this like Beatles calendar. I would just want to like power that into a rhythm that can feed magic, culture, and the greater good, peace and party on earth.
Do you have a favorite Beatles album? Or
I don't really do favorites.
don't do favorites?
Yeah.
So no favorite Beatle?
Yeah. Favorites. Favorites are, I have an almost 3-year-old, and he says a lot of things are his favorite. I try not to make conversation about favorites, but it's a good question. It's also a great question because it's just like, okay, I gotta pick, but yeah.
Well, why do you think we shouldn't have favorites of things?
Why I think a lot of people fall into the question of what's your favorite this, and I believe in multiplicity, and that sometimes it's this and sometimes it's that. Sometimes my favorite color is pink. Sometimes my favorite color is yellow. Sometimes it's a rainbow. It's like, having to choose the favorite color, you kind of get into a loop in your head, or, you identify with something that you've named as your favorite. And then it might be hard to break past a barrier of like into something else that is also a favorite. Like there's just different ways to enjoy different things. There's different parts of you that come out with different colors. And you could have a relationship with every color. And when I ask your power letter, it's like, I'm not asking your favorite letter, but also picking it. It's like you can have a relationship with all the letters. It's just how you but I mean, pink. Or what did you ask? My favorite Beatles?
Yeah.
There's like most significant Beatles songs and, oh man, and like what I like to sing and, Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she changes from day to day. I gotta tell her that I love her a lot, but I gotta get a belly full of wine. Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl. Someday I'm gonna make her mine. Oh, yeah. Someday I'm gonna make her mine. That's the shortest Beatles song. It's 23 seconds, which is also my birthday. I'm a 23 is my number. There's a whole lot of 23 lore in the Beatles world, and that's Her Majesty. It's like the hidden track on Rubber Soul. I love that there are so many Beatles songs that I love.
Yeah, there's so
There's
many.
just like so many.
What was it? Last year, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to go through the whole, like, Beatles catalog. I'm like, oh, this is taking a long time. There's so much to, like, truly comb through.
There's so much. And what I love about it is that you can discover the Beatles anytime. And this is true of any group, but, like, I experience it heavily with the Beatles world of, like, just being able to, oh, wow, like, I can go on my Beatles era now and, like, listen to all the albums in the order they came out, or just listen to them on Spotify and just get to know the songs. And
there's so much media around it, so many books,
yeah,
so many
and they
movies
don't stop putting out box sets. Thank God, because that's how we make our living a lot. Like we have a big Beatles catalog that has all the licensed Beatles merchandise that there is pretty much.
So you talked about favorites and parenting. Do you have any particular like parenting approaches? I feel like the way we like describe conventional people, you are not. So I feel like you're parenting styles are probably not conventional either, right?
Yeah, I mean, Skylo has went a long time without a bedtime. More recently, we've implemented it for, he's getting to that age. We want to get him into a rhythm and have our own sanity. But like, honestly, he's party trained. We bring him out. He vibes. Has always been. I was bumping it huge since the womb.
How do you party train a child?
You just make going out part of your life. Like, he has a magical unicorn bus that he goes in and like, just rides around. And sometimes we're on the bus, and he can just, he like knows he can witness social interactions and be able to, jive with it. So and things always change with his age and what he can actually handle with it. But he's very like, is it nighttime? Is it daytime? Like sometimes he's just, we don't know because, in 24-hour culture, it's not, I there's part of me that like, oh, I want a routine and I always want to be on this routine. But part of me just, sometimes you're just up all night and then you sleep for a few hours in the morning into the afternoon and then you're up in the evening and then you take a nap. And like, if the world could be a little more adjusted to all hours of the day are game for things to happen. Like, what if this space was open 24 hours? Is it?
No, it's not.
It's not. But what if it was? And like, we could have met at midnight one night. Is there really a reason that Brick is not open 24 hours? It's like staffing, because people aren't used to coming here in the night. I think it's way more important to record a podcast than go to the bar, and think of how much more hours there could be to do creative things if people were thinking about, okay, yeah, it's like the nighttime and maybe I'm going to sleep, the letting the night people be night people.
I should be able to do stuff once I get off work at like 2.
Yeah. Like everyone gets off of work at 6, 7, and then that's the same time that everything closes. It's like, I don't even understand people who have jobs. Like, how is that working now? Like, I remember I've had corporate jobs. It's like running to the bank on my lunch hour, running to do this errand, or like the fact that storage units close at all is insane. Yeah, there's a storage unit. Like, my storage unit closes at 7 p.m. My friends close at 5:45. What the heck how are you getting? When are you doing your storage?
Weekends?
Like, and then you have to take your weekends and make your, weekend time, like errands. Like, there needs to just be more logical flow and availability of things happening. And in order for the businesses to do well, when they do that, we need to get kind of a general enrollment of people like, all right, I'm in. Like, I'm going to go get my manicure at night now. Like, I don't have time. I'm like always running. Like, I'm not going to have time tonight. Like, I'm literally, my nails are chipped. I'm like, we have the podcast. I have a Glinda ride. I'm not done till 8:30, and then everything's closed. I can't get a manicure today. I literally can't get off at 8:30 p.m. in New York City, and it would be like a huge struggle. Why can't I do that at 10 p.m., 9 p.m., at midnight? Like, I promise, like, if you're a nail salon, you're a salon listening, try flipping your hours and let's make a big deal out of it. And I want to work with businesses to kind of come up with new creative ways to run their business according to Magic Era philosophies, and offering fun community activities and offering, different hours, like switching it up. Like, all places can have the same hours.
There are so many bartenders and people working in restaurants that they'll all come to these things after work.
Like, what? Like, people need other times of day to do things. Like, we need everyone to be on board. And I don't know. I want to work with the city about it. I want to work with, I'm kind of just like, I've created this whole, idea structure, and I haven't created it. I've just channeled it. I'm just delivering. I'm just sharing what I've discovered and how I can enchant the world and how we can enchant ourselves, how we can step up into a new thing. So I'm just like stirring the pot, riding my bus around, like, all right, who's it going to be? Like, who am I going to connect with to like really make it pop?
So you have so many projects and ideas. How do you balance it all and not burn out? Or are you just someone who just can keep going?
No, it's like I forget. I don't remember everything all the time. So I'm just like, ooh, like I could, new things come about, and I'm like, oh, they still don't know letter time. Like, I can't even live my life. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of torture. But then just a lot of like, okay, I'm Michelle Joni. I'm doing it. Like, there's no fail. I have gone down that road plenty of times of like, it's not happening. And now I'm just like, all right, well, it's not happening that way. I'm just going to get the next train. Mm-hmm. Look at the next bus. We'll figure, like, that it could all spin off and take off in any direction. Every time something I've done has gone viral, it's really not been something that I expected.
Yeah, you just have so many different like baskets that when one isn't working, you just like
right.
go on to the next one for the meantime.
Well, it's like, honestly, people like you who've like taken the time to go through what I've done in the past, like this is honestly, you're doing God's work. Like let's just like streamline. Okay, so because I really feel like the solution to saving the world lies in the very things that I've already done, and just sharing that and letting everybody be able to be involved in some way.
Yeah.
And so if everybody gets involved in a project that's part of this and can lighten into whimsy and their inner child and imagination and connection and creativity and synchronicity, it's like this is it, you know? And I'm just here like I'm doing more things because I can't help it. I'm like making more music and wanting to put more things out and wondering why I didn't put that thing out. And there's a lot of things that aren't out. And how do we get the things that aren't out? What about the things that I didn't post, things that I didn't really end up doing? All those little opportunities. And like, if I did all of it, if I like nailed everything, like what the composite is, and, we'd be there already. But it's like,
that's so hard.
Right. It's
like
like
so many projects and things
right.
and posts that you're like, didn't get to that. Maybe eventually it'll see the world.
Yeah. And it's like, missing the moment then makes it a different moment to share it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good practice for anybody who is creative to just post as much as possible. This is medicine and advice I give myself so hard every day, and it's so hard to do it because a lot of times I'm getting stopped by like there's no context for what I want to say, or like I didn't post that last thing, I can't post this thing yet, and it's not the right moment. And there's a lot of that, but like I tell creatives, like post, like social media expression is it's therapeutic. It's like actually releasing so that you can create more. And sometimes holding things in so that you could, incubate what you're doing is good. But also, releasing the right energies of like what you're doing just helps make your reality more synced up with other people and what they're posting. It's like social media, the gatekeeper. There is no gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is social media. I know that damn well. And there is no gatekeeper. It is social media. It is the internet.
So how can people find you and join this journey with themselves or with you?
Yo, find me on the bus. I'd be out here.
You just wander around New York City.
Yeah, you just got to wander till you find me. Or if you find a sticker of me, you could just press the button. I might show up in a hologram. Honestly, please follow me at Michelle Joni everywhere, all over the world. Any platform, I'm probably on there as Michelle Joni. I have music. Please find my music. I have 2 albums, Swimming in Rainbows. My new EP is called Release. I'd love for you to go down a rabbit hole of that. And then also lots of my singles are on SoundCloud. So there's different places to find my music. There's different stuff on YouTube. I want you to go down a rabbit hole of things that I've done and attempt to find everything. And let's piece together some things that I forgot that I did and help me activate it. We're really working to set up GlindaTheGoodBus.com as a portal for entry into the magic era and your magic culture activation here in New York and beyond.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been so fun. I've learned so much.
Thank you so much for having me and for doing this and for going for your dreams and being fabulous.
This is the next stop is we're going to go out with Michelle Joni's song, Oh My God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, say a little prayer.